guys, welcome back. So recently we did a video on how important head movement is, and we did have quite a lot of students asking us, well, okay, how do you train for head movement? So in this video, that's what we're going to do today. So the first thing, that everyone should really sort of realise is sparring, first and foremost, is probably the most important part of training when it comes to sort of head movement. Training in the real world practices is always going to be a better sort of way of training rather than just learning drills all the time. But the drills do have an important aspect of learning when it comes to sort of learning techniques and things like that. And the sparring and the experience sort of comes in where it allows you to put that learning into the real world. Yeah. So the first thing we're going to go through will be the technique for you. So what you need to do when you are dodging or moving your head, the most important thing is moving forward. Now this is going to be probably more boxing orientated, as sort of boxers they really sort of emphasize on that forward head movement quite a lot, especially sort of in the heavyweights. Now you do have other combat sports that utilize sort of head movements like kickboxing and things like that, yeah. But their head movements sometimes might mean that it's going to make them open for a kick or something like that. So it's a little more dynamic in that sort of sense.
It's just ideal. It's more ideal, isn't it, for boxing? Just because it's a lot closer.
Yeah,
and it's for more dodging a punch as opposed to a kick.
Yeah. Well, like you say, it's much closer. Yeah. So head movement much closer is actually probably more important.
Yeah.
Whereas kicks, even though a lot of people have quite fast kicks, they're easier to see than punches.
I feel safer blocking a kick than I do trying to dodge it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you do sort of get that feeling, don't you? And of course with self-defense as well, you find that in a lot of self-defense scenarios, most of it is with the hands as well. So it is going to be sort of close up, even to get sort of palm heel strikes, things like that. This dodging will really help you. This sort of head movement. So yeah, head movement in a lot of cases in combat sports, self-defense is a really, really important aspect to your game. So anyway, let's get on with the technique, shall we? So Sam, if you can just put a stance together for us. So the first thing you need to do is, as I mentioned earlier, is to lean forward. Now, you get a lot of fighters, or a lot of beginners especially, is that they lean back like this. Now, some fighters, it works for some fighters, maybe they're quite agile or something like that. But if you are a beginner and just starting off, then try and lean forward. Now, the main reason why is because, say for example, your opponent is in the middle of a combination or something like that. If you're leaning backwards, it gives your opponent the opportunity to throw all of those punches towards you. And, it might only take one of them to land, and then that's it, you're out. So, leaning forward actually will cut off that combination almost altogether. I mean, say for example, Sam he's going to throw a combination, so I don't know, throw something, and I lean forward, it cuts the combination off completely. And that's what you're trying to do when you're moving your head from side to side. Now, of course, it's equally as bad leaving your head, where it is stationary, because just...
Yeah. Well, it's a stationary target, so it's easy to aim for. Whereas if you're moving, they've got to think, right, where's he going to go?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a shooting gallery, isn't it? When you just got your head still, well, you're going to get your head beat off, aren't you? Completely.
Moving targets, much harder to hit.
Yeah.
Not as simple as that.
Yeah, and I mean, on that sort of same subject as well, you don't have to dodge every time. You can move your head from side to side. Keep moving your head. Make it a little bit more difficult for your opponent to throw that punch towards you, and don't make it a guaranteed hit.
It's not like head movement. It's not restricted to simply dodging. It can just be used to keep the opponent guessing as to where you're going to be.
That's exactly right. And you can keep your head moving, and then as soon as you anticipate a punch coming towards you, then that's the time when you can proper move your head from one side to the other. A lot of the time as well, you're actually already moving your head whilst the punch is coming towards you. So as soon as you see it coming towards you, all you got to do is just quicken your head movement just that little bit more. So that's sort of general sort of head movement. Now, did we touch on moving forward? We touched on moving forward, didn't we?
Yeah. Moving forward and sort of picking the right area to move forward into, because obviously, like yourself, some people might just think, "Oh, move forward."
Yeah.
It's not what we mean.
Yeah. I mean, well, you do get that sometimes as well. You see it in boxing where, say for example, a punch is coming towards you, and they move their head, but they move it onto the punch. I mean, that is actually a boxing technique.
Yeah,
that is a boxing technique.
It's very old school, and it works. Like, I've done it to people before, they complain like mad. But
yeah. I mean, so that is boxing technique. Not necessarily recommended, because you don't really want to get punched in the head too much. Yeah. But if you are going to move your head towards the punch, then you want to move it from either one side or the other of the punch. Now, we would recommend moving it towards the outside of your opponent. Now, this is why. So Sam, if you throw a punch towards me, if I move it to this side here, first of all, it gives me the perfect opportunity to throw counter attacks. Okay, great opportunity there. But also, Sam it's going to be really difficult for your opponent to actually throw another punch back. So Sam, if you try throwing another punch, you know, it's going to be...
I've got to really think about where I'm going to throw next.
Yeah,
you know, this hand's going to come back. I might be able to come over the top, but by that point, I might have been caught already, and I might be on the back foot or something
it's going to be really awkward.
Yeah, it's good to keep your opponent thinking, because if they've got to constantly change their position, then you know, it's like a sort of distraction.
Yeah. That's it. So moving your head forward is important. Moving your head forward towards the outside of your opponent is probably a recommendation that we would give to any sort of beginner, and maybe even people that have got a little bit more experience in sparring anyway, but they're struggling maybe a bit with their dodging work or things like that, and their head movement. So try and stick towards the outside of the hand. And the same thing applies to a cross or reverse punch. So Sam, if you throw a reverse punch, so that's off the backhand, you can dodge towards the outside of the punch. That's always the safest way, you know, the safest way to go. Just in case they are in the middle of a combination, you dodge one way, to be honest, you will cut that combination clean in half. And like we said earlier, it gives, again, a perfect opportunity to counter-attack. So Sam, if you throw again that punch off the other hand, 1, 2, you know, or even if you do it again, so it would be one here and maybe even another one there, okay? Now sometimes you do see counter-attacks happening at the exact same time as the dodge. So for example, Sam, if you throw throw a cross again before, so they dodge like this, and as they're dodging, they're throwing another punch there. Now how many knockouts have we seen like that, Sam?
Too many.
A lot.
Okay. It's incredible. It's painful though, because you see it, like, especially in slow motion, where you just see both forces coming together like that. Because that just makes the impact even heavier.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, they're coming onto the punch as you're dodging. So again, you know, we can't really emphasize enough how great it is to use your head, move that, you know, move your body forward away from the punch towards the outside, gives you a perfect opportunity to counter attack. So that's sort of in technique wise. Now, when it comes to sparring, well, it is, you know,
sparring is more about sort of reading the opponent's body language, like their shoulder movement and whatever movement might give away that punch.
Yeah. That's it. So when you are sort of trying to anticipate a punch coming towards you, which is a really difficult thing, it takes a long time, you know, trying to train yourself to do this. So, but this is why sparring is really important, because it gives you that experience. Now, the first thing you'll see every time, Sam, if you put up a guard, as soon as someone decides to throw a punch towards you, their shoulder will move. It won't necessarily be a lot of movement. You do have to have a sort of a keen eye when it comes to looking at this. But their shoulder will move either outwards or upwards. They will have some sort of movement. So you can look at the shoulder when it comes to anticipating a punch, and obviously you can look at the hand when you're trying to anticipate a punch. Now, me personally, I look more towards the hand, but you know, those of you that feel more comfortable looking at the shoulder, by all means, but just remember that this is the thing that's going to be coming towards you. You know?
As well, after you start to get steadily better at it as well. I mean, this is what I do. I tend to sort of focus on the opponent's chest and sort of use the peripheral vision to see both shoulders. Because obviously, if you focus on one shoulder, then you might not see the other one coming.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good point to raise as well. You get a lot of fighters that are sort of advised to look at their opponent's eyes. Now, you can't really see a lot in your peripheral vision if you're looking at their eyes. Yes, you know, maybe their eye movements gives you a bit of an indication of where their head's going to go, maybe where they're going to punch, but it's nowhere near as good as looking at their chest area, looking at their hands themselves. If you look at the hands themselves, believe me, it's a lot easier to predict what it is they're going to do. So, I mean, you're not going to guess it every time, obviously.
Yeah, seeing is not reacting.
Yeah,
like,
no.
They're two completely different steps, and it just takes mad practice. Like.
That's it, practice and experience. You know, we can't emphasise that enough. Practice and experience, and the only way you're going to get that is through sparring. But to help sort of that reaction time, one thing which you could do, I suppose, say for example, you don't have any pads, you're not in the gym or something like that, then with a friend, you could get a flashlight, something like that. You can get your friend to stand on the opposite side of the room. As soon as they flash the light, then you can move your head from one side to the other. And, you know, that's another good way to sort of train reaction time. I suppose we can touch a little bit on that. But yeah, I hope that sort of helps you out with, as always, your training. And I mean, we hope it helps you sort of win fights as well, because of course a lot of it isn't necessarily about knockouts. It's, you know, making sure they don't score as many points.
Any punch you dodge could have been the one that put you down. So
well, yeah, that's exactly
right.
right.
It could be a difference between a win and a loss, definitely.
Yeah, as we said in our head movement video. So and you know, it's really good for self-defense as well when someone is, you know, throwing a punch towards you or something like that. Then having that head movement. Of course, you should always have the guard up and things like that, but if you're moving your body, moving your head at the same time as having this guard, then of course it just increases your odds.
Looking blocking's good, but dodging is even better.
Yeah, dodging.
If you avoid any impact altogether, then
Yeah.
that's as good as you're going to get, really, isn't it?
That's always a better way forward. But anyway, guys, thanks again for watching. Hope this video helps you out with your training, as I said before. And stay safe, take care. Make sure you like and subscribe if you want to. Leave a comment, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.